On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, a new report suggests that Tesla might be readying a 3-row Model Y with a longer wheelbase over in China, but if it's true, might it make its way to the US as well? Plus, Tesla's regulatory path to getting the Cybercab approved just got easier. A newly announced EV pickup truck is taking a unique strategy to be as affordable as possible, and more. What's happening, friends? Ryan McCaffrey joining you here on episode 509 of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, publishing on May 4th, 2025. I am recording a little extra early this week. It's Thursday, May 1st in the evening here, and that is due to a trip that I've got this weekend. So, as always, when I record a little early, if anything newsworthy pops up on Friday, I will happily cover it next week. But at least by recording this one early, I'm happy to give Patreon backers at all tiers an extra day of early access on this one. Some good news to start the week. 0% financing is back for Model 3, and it wasn't gone for very long, it turns out. I mean, honestly, I don't want to sound like a Tesla shill here, but it's a really nice offer, especially in the context of the greater macroeconomic environment. I mean, I'm very grateful to have been able to take advantage of that 0% last December when I got my new Performance 3. And again, interest rates aren't exactly low right now. So being able to jump into a Model 3 with 0% financing, pretty awesome. I mean, it's such a great car. The new one is so good. And no matter which trim you buy, they're great. But in particular, that long-range rear-wheel drive 3 with 363 miles of range, that car's $35,000 out the door after the tax credit, and then you add 0% financing on top of that, that is a pretty sweet deal, if I do say so myself. Now, speaking of pricing, unfortunately, there is some bad news in that department, specifically for my Canadian friends. You may very well have heard about this by now north of the border, but Tesla has officially increased prices for its entire vehicle lineup in Canada by as much as $30,000 Canadian, or 21%. The price increases come after the Canadian government imposed a 25% tariff on U.S. vehicle imports. I read this on, fittingly, Drive Tesla Canada, who says, with these substantial price increases, the automaker is now directing customers to explore pre-tariff priced inventory available only while supplies last. The Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive now starts at $79,990 Canadian, more than 10 grand higher than the $69K it was priced at prior to the tariffs. Meanwhile, the performance Model 3 climbs to basically $90,000 Canadian, up from $80,000. You might be wondering, Drive Tesla Canada writes, why we didn't mention the Model 3 rear-wheel drive, and that's because it is no longer offered for sale in Canada. As for the Model Y, only the long range is still available, and it has increased to $85,000 Canadian, a whopping $15,000 more than the $70K it was priced at before. Interestingly, this makes it the same price as the launch series Model Y, which included every option, including FSD. Higher-end models have seen even steeper increases. The Model S now starts at $134,000 Canadian, that's an increase of $19K, with the Plaid variant hitting at $155,000 Canadian, that's up $18,000. Meanwhile, the Model X all-wheel drive is listed at $141K, that's up $19,000, and the Plaid X reaches an eye-watering, in their words, $162,000 Canadian after a $19,000 price increase. Finally, Drive Tesla Canada notes, the Cybertruck has seen the biggest price increases of all. The all-wheel drive now costs $140,000 Canadian, which is a 21.7% increase, and the Cyber Beast also a 21.7% increase, which puts it at $168,000 Canadian. Well, for my part, all I can really say is that I hope this resolves soon, however that needs to happen, however resolving it can happen, meaning if Canada gets cars imported from Giga Shanghai or Giga Berlin, or if here in North America the tariff situation resolves between the US and Canada. I mean, it's just going to be brutal for Tesla sales in Canada, I'm sure. How could it not be? And more importantly than that, it's just going to make it a heck of a lot tougher for people in Canada who are dreaming of buying their first Tesla to actually get it. I mean, I certainly acknowledge that there's always the used car market, although I wonder if, as a downstream effect of this, if used values are now going to increase in Canada. But I also acknowledge that buying used isn't necessarily what everybody wants to do. Plenty of folks out there want a new car. So for the time being, Drive Tesla Canada reports that non-launch series Model Y Junipers have been added to the pre-tariff inventory. And I have to caveat this by saying, I hope those are still there by the time you hear this. So, Godspeed, my Canadian friends. Unfortunately, in more bad news, as I'll just get the bad news block out of the way here, but this is definitely worth bringing up, Washington State has passed a new tax on Tesla's zero-emissions vehicle credits. Again, saw this one on Drive Tesla Canada, who writes, Washington State has passed a new law that imposes a tax on zero-emission vehicle credit sales, a move that primarily targets Tesla. Now, just to step aside from their story for a second, if you're probably familiar with these, even if you don't immediately recognize it, Tesla effectively, well, I guess other auto manufacturers basically buy these credits from Tesla on a quarterly basis. And so this has benefited Tesla for a long time. All right, getting back to the story here. The bill, HB 2077, was approved by the Washington State Legislature and now awaits the signature of Governor Bob Ferguson. The new tax was introduced in response to Tesla's ability to generate and sell large surpluses of ZEV credits to automakers that cannot meet Washington's strict zero-emission vehicle requirements. Washington follows California's ZEV program, which mandates that a growing percentage of vehicles sold in the state must be electric or hydrogen-powered, starting at 22% of vehicles in 2025 and increasing over time. Companies falling short of these targets can purchase credits from those who exceed them, creating a secondary market worth billions. Tesla, which of course only manufactures EVs, means it has consistently produced a surplus of ZEV credits. Critics, including Washington lawmakers, say the original intent of the ZEV program was to encourage electrification, not to create a profit center for a single manufacturer. Quote, "We never intended for this program to be a source of windfall profits for one manufacturer," said Representative Joe Fitzgibbon, the bill's primary sponsor. Tesla opposed the legislation during public hearings. Jeff Gomboski, speaking on behalf of Tesla, urged lawmakers to, quote, "put the bill down," arguing that the tax would diminish the value of ZEV credits and discourage automakers from participating in the program. Gomboski also warned that Washington could set a precedent that other states might follow, since 17 states currently mirror California's ZEV standards. Despite Tesla's objections, Washington lawmakers moved forward with the bill, aiming to, quote, "level the playing field between established electric vehicle manufacturers and traditional automakers still transitioning to EVs." Well, for my part here, the timing of this certainly leads me to wonder that, is this a punitive thing because of Elon's role in the current presidential administration, or does the Washington State Legislature actually think that this is a good fair idea. I don't know, but I just don't see how this is anything but fair. Because as that Tesla rep said, it's a repellent to other auto manufacturers to make electric vehicles. Just, if you can, try to take all politics and policy out of it. And if we do that in our minds for just a moment here, then you see that Tesla has objectively made and continues to make about 6 times more EVs than any other car company doing business in the United States. And I say that because I looked it up. I was curious exactly how the US numbers, we get the global numbers for Tesla every quarter. But how about the US numbers? And well, in the US, Tesla sold over 600,000 cars last year, 2024, which of course all of those are fully electric. While Ford was just under 100,000 and GM was just over 100,000 EVs. So Tesla has been far and away the company doing the most to electrify the car market, and they've been able to lay claim to that for over a decade. And sadly, even with many more EVs on the market today than there were, again, 10 years ago when the Model S was first getting everybody's attention and really starting to ramp up, it's just that no one else, again, even today, no one in the US can even touch Tesla in EV volume. Those of you that have been around long enough and following this stuff for a while will remember where the goalposts once were. It used to be, wait till the traditional automakers get tuned up for EVs because they have the manufacturing prowess and they'll put Tesla to shame. That was an argument made for a long, long time, and it still has not come to fruition, which is unfortunate because more EVs would be great. So I guess in other words here, Tesla is doing good if we all agree, as I think the Washington lawmakers would, that EVs are a good thing. So to effectively punish Tesla for being so much better than everyone else at making and selling EVs, to me that just seems really backwards and quite frankly kind of ridiculous. So I really hope the Washington state governor will not sign this bill. If it's happened by the time you hear this, again, I apologize. This will be one of the casualties of recording early on a Thursday, but that's where things stand as I record. And by the way, the credits are only there in the first place because those automakers aren't living up to the emission standards. If they were, Tesla wouldn't be getting these credits. So to me, it's as much on the rest of the industry being, this might be too strong a word, but all right, I'll say it. It might be the rest of the industry being lousy at making and selling EVs as much as it is Tesla being really good at it. This one, to me, this story, this is really frustrating for me as just somebody that wants to see EVs of all kinds thrive and succeed. All right, we're going to get back to good news here, but first, I hope all of you who are kindly supporting me on Patreon at that $10 tier per month or higher, and by being at that tier, it gains you access to the weekly lightning round bonus mini episodes that I've put up 141 of now, I believe. This week's was a list and a discussion of the 7 things that I think the Model S and Model X need in a refresh. So if you'd like to listen to that, you can join the Patreon at that $10 tier or higher. And in addition to those weekly lightning round bonus mini episodes, you'll also get an ad-free episode every week, and you'll get that ad-free episode early, like I was talking about at the top of the show, since I'm recording this one earlier than usual. But a friendly reminder that even if you don't want to do that $10 per month tier, the $5 per month tier also gets ad-free episodes and early access. So If you appreciate what I do here at the podcast, I would be humbled and grateful if you would consider a Patreon pledge, and you can go to my Patreon webpage to find out more and sign up if you so choose. You can find that at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast, Patreon spelled Patreon. There's also a link in the episode description. Our headline story this week: reports from China have suggested that Tesla may be starting production of a 3-row extended wheelbase variant of the new Model Y starting next month. I saw this on Teslarati, who wrote, "The rumors were initially reported by prolific Chinese auto blogger Sean, who has long been tracking Tesla's activities and programs in the country. Rumors from China suggested that Tesla would reportedly be releasing a variant of the best-selling all-electric crossover, internally dubbed as E80. The vehicle will reportedly be a stripped-down version of the new Model Y, similar to the Cybertruck long-range rear-wheel drive. As noted in a CNEV Post report, it remains to be seen if the recently rumored new Model Y E80 variant would be a 3-row vehicle. That being said, Reuters also hinted at a Model Y E41 version in a report last month, though the publication claimed that the variant will reportedly start production at Giga Shanghai sometime in 2026. Giga Shanghai is Tesla's largest factory by output, and it also serves as the company's primary vehicle export hub. So, this is not the first time that we've heard about a 3-row Model Y for the Chinese market, but it is the first time we've heard about a potentially longer wheelbase version of the car. But in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense for Tesla to do this, primarily because the Model X isn't sold in China anymore. And even when it was, they weren't selling that many. So this way, if Tesla does this, you get something that's a lot cheaper than an X. It's going to come at a bit of a premium over the regular Y, of course, but probably only by the equivalent of $3,000 to $5,000 if I had to guess. And also, it's worth keeping in mind that other manufacturers do this, so this is not a unique thing. For instance, to talk about another EV, the new Volkswagen ID Buzz is a smaller, or I should say shorter, 2-row vehicle in Europe, but here in the United States, it's a 3-row vehicle with a longer wheelbase. Now, on that note, I do have to very vainly say that I wonder if this happens, if this is true, if this is going to throw off the Model Y's proportions and make it look weird. And again, that's just me talking about what I think here. I can't help but consider that because, as you all know, I love little design details. I'm fascinated by that stuff. It's why I love having Franz on the show when I get the chance. So, in fact, speaking of Franz, I wonder, again, if this is true, if it just hurts him a little bit inside to alter the proportions like that, if indeed this is going to happen. I think the bigger question is, as I alluded to at the very top of the podcast this week, if this happens, would it come to the US? Now, even though we have the Model X here, and Lars Moravy said on this podcast that the X is important, along with the S, and it does matter to Tesla, it means probably the X and S are not going away. So, would a 3-row Model Y with a longer wheelbase, as an option, obviously, there'll still be the existing Model Y, and in fact, alongside 2 Model Ys, if the smaller, cheaper one, which we know is like 99.9% real because it was all but confirmed on the most recent earnings call, but we have the kind of Goldilocks and the 3 Bears situation with the Model Y potentially here. You'd have the middle one, which is the one that you're all driving right now, the smaller, cheaper one, probably the more compact size that's coming up here in the next apparently the next couple months, and then potentially this longer extended wheelbase 3-row Model Y. So if that's where this shakes out, and we have 3 different Model Ys, 3 different sized Model Y, would that kill Model X sales for good? I think it's a fair question, but my answer is not necessarily, especially if the Model X gets redesigned in such a way where its features really give it some separation from the Y. And that's some of what I talked about in the Lightning Round mini episode on Patreon this week. And also, Tesla's in a position now where, with the headwinds in the market, they need to take everything that the market is willing to give them, right? Every little inch, Tesla needs to take it. So if that means doing a longer wheelbase 3-row Model Y that costs something like, I don't know, $55, $60K as a base price before any options, alongside the long-range all-wheel drive Y, the long-range rear-wheel drive Y, which I presume is coming back soon, the performance Y that we know is coming back later this year, and the smaller, cheaper Model Y at the bottom of the product line, then Tesla, they have to take all those slivers of the market for the betterment, of their business. So I am very curious to see if this rumor ends up turning out to be true, because I can picture a longer wheelbase, longer Model Y, but I don't love it in my brain. I trust that Franz will make it look good, but we'll see what happens with this one. Next up this week, some good news for Tesla. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, aka NHTSA, has introduced several policy changes aimed at accelerating the development and deployment of autonomous vehicles in the United States. Saw this one on Drive Tesla Canada, who wrote, under the revised framework, NHTSA will reduce the crash reporting requirements for vehicles equipped with advanced driver assistance systems and autonomous driving systems. The streamlined reporting process is expected to make it easier for automakers to bring Level 4 self-driving vehicles, such as robotaxis, to public roads without the previous burden of duplicative and detailed crash submissions. While NHTSA will maintain its standing general order for critical incidents, it will now focus only on crashes that meet higher thresholds for property damage or severity. Another major change is the expansion of the Automated Vehicle Exemption Program. Previously available only to imported vehicles, the program now includes domestically manufactured autonomous vehicles. This adjustment allows companies like Tesla, whose upcoming Cybercab robotaxi is being built in Texas, to deploy vehicles that do not fully comply with traditional federal motor vehicle safety standards, such as the absence of steering wheel and pedals. Federal officials have framed the move as a strategic requirement to compete with China. Quote, "We're in a race with China to out-innovate, and the stakes couldn't be higher," said Secretary Duffy. The updated framework aims to simplify the patchwork of state regulations and move closer to a single national standard for autonomous vehicles. Well, this is certainly well-timed for Tesla. Now, I don't pretend to understand the new regulations in enough detail to be able to comment on whether or not I think they are relaxing those crash submission rules too much. That is not for me to say. But hopefully Tesla and other manufacturers will utilize these new, more relaxed rules in good faith, meaning they won't try to use them to hide any problems or skirt around any issues to make things look better than they might actually be. Fortunately, Tesla's history, in my opinion, is certainly one that they are pushing self-driving technology forward as a greater good. And in general, they have tended to do the right thing, again, in my opinion. So the thing to remember is that there will be accidents. It just mathematically, it's literally impossible for there to not be injuries or deaths at the quote-unquote hands of an autonomous vehicle at some point. There's just no such thing as a completely safe car. There's only safer than a typical human driver. I know I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but this story this week reminded me of an interview from last fall by the, in my humble opinion, very excellent stand-up comedian Hassan Minhaj. His most recent one on Netflix, by the way, is really good if you want to check it out. But Hassan has a YouTube channel as well. And last fall, he had then Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg on his YouTube channel. And Pete talked about this exact thing. That basically, and I'm very much paraphrasing Pete here, that people are going to freak out at even one autonomous vehicle caused death, even if the net good of that autonomous vehicle is saving many other lives. And we've already seen a version of that, a smaller version of that play out just as us as being Tesla fans, right? And by that I mean we've seen it play out in the form of autopilot accidents getting just overwhelmingly massive, over-indexed media coverage versus other cars with just, say, traditional traffic adaptive cruise control systems that get in accidents and there's never a single mention of it in any media outlet at all. That's what I'm talking about. We've seen this before. It's just now moving to a bigger stage, basically. But overall, these new, more relaxed regulations are certainly good news for Tesla because the regulatory road is now a lot clearer for them to get those robotaxis out on the road. Let's see what Tesla does with it this year and next, and then beyond, as the Cybercab goes into volume production. There's plenty more Tesla and EV news to get to this week, but real quick, I want to shout out my friends at Accelerate Auto, who have their awesome XCare extended warranty coverage option for electric vehicles. Over at Accelerate Auto, they are redefining the EV warranty, the extended warranty specifically. They are looking ahead, trying to build a future that's just better than the typical warranties, extended warranties that we've dealt with before. It's just what innovative organizations do. These folks are former Tesla employees, so they come at it with both that kind of former insider knowledge, but also just as current day Tesla customers. So that's why these folks developed XCare, which is a comprehensive extended warranty designed exclusively for EVs. They've also re-engineered the entire customer experience, which is, of course, a key component of that. You don't want to buy an extended warranty and have the customer experience be horrible. You want to have that extended warranty, have that peace of mind, and then if you need it, have it be a painless thing to take advantage of. I have one on our 2018 car. I've used it a few times, and thankfully the claim reimbursement has been a painless experience, all just online, all very easy. So I do genuinely recommend XCare. They also offer coverage on your high voltage battery and drive unit, either as an addition to your general regular extended warranty policy, or potentially as you can just get that. If you just want to cover the battery and drive unit, that is potentially an option for you too. Your vehicle may qualify for it. So you want to check them out at their website, XCelerateAuto.com. That's XCelerateAuto.com/XCARE, or just click the link in the episode description. And because you are a Ride the Lightning listener, the kind folks at Accelerate Auto are offering you a $100 discount when you select XCare's one-time payment option. Just use the discount code LIGHTNING. Moving along here, Tesla has hired over 1,000 factory workers for its Tesla Semi program at Giga Nevada. Saw this one on Teslarati, who wrote, "The update was initially reported by Business Insider, which cited 3 people reportedly familiar with the matter. As per the publication's sources, Tesla has reportedly hired over 1,000 new factory workers for the Semi program in Nevada. The hiring ramp is reportedly part of the company's efforts to fulfill orders for the Semi, which have been accumulating for years. To help the new members of the Semi team, Tesla has reportedly brought in the new workers to Giga Nevada for training and tours over the past months. These efforts are quite a notable update for the Semi program," the publication sources claimed, since less than 100 factory workers were reportedly assigned to the Class 8 all-electric truck until recently. Insider's report came amidst a hiring ramp in Tesla's careers website. As per previous reports, Tesla's careers website had uploaded over 80 positions related to the Semi program. The positions are varied, with listings being posted for engineering-related roles in Palo Alto, here in California, to manufacturing-related roles in Sparks, Nevada, which is where Giga Nevada is, and vehicle service-related roles in Sacramento. Well, this is certainly, stating the obvious here, but certainly a good sign that Tesla is on track to start production out of that new Semi-factory building on site at Giga Nevada ahead of volume production next year. And remember, volume production, if you're thinking about this, because I went down the rabbit hole a little bit here. Okay, volume production on the Tesla Semi. Tesla said 50,000 Tesla Semis per week at full volume. Well, that's 1,000 trucks a week, which is about what the Model S peaked at back in 2015, 2016. But the difference between the Model S back then and the Tesla Semi now is that 1,000 semi-trucks per week is literally a big deal because the Model S's average sales price probably was about, I'm taking an educated guess here, it's probably around $80,000 back then. The Tesla Semi's average sale price will be about $200,000. So once that beast is ramped up, it's going to be bringing in about $10 billion per year in revenue. Now, it'll have basically taken a full decade for this thing to reach volume production, to go from the initial announcement to full volume production. Again, 2017 to 2027, it'll be hitting full volume production. End of 26, maybe beginning of 27. So a full 10 years, but the wait will be worth it because it's got the potential to not only seriously disrupt that Class 8 trucking industry, but to make a serious contribution to Tesla's annual bottom line. And I hope it succeeds on both counts. This next story was the spiciest one of the week, and it is the last Tesla story I have for you before I want to mention a couple of other non-Tesla EV stories. And this one is about the Tesla board and a report from the Wall Street Journal that claimed that Tesla's board looked for a new CEO as Elon Musk was focused on the White House. Now, I saw this on Reuters, who wrote up the paywalled Wall Street Journal report saying Tesla board members reached out about a month ago to several executive search firms to find a successor to CEO Elon Musk, the Wall Street Journal reported this past Wednesday, citing people familiar with the discussions. The current status of the board's push, which, according to the report, was sparked by Musk's heavy involvement with the Trump administration, could not be determined, Wall Street Journal said. Musk last week said he would cut back significantly on the time he devotes to the Trump administration and spend more time running Tesla. The board members met Musk and asked him to acknowledge publicly that he would spend more time at Tesla, the Wall Street Journal report said. But it was unclear if Musk, also a member of the board, was aware of succession planning or if his pledge to spend more time at Tesla has affected the efforts, the report added. Some Tesla directors, including co-founder J.B. Straubel, have been meeting with major investors to reassure them the company is in good hands, the Wall Street Journal said. The 8-person Tesla board, which also includes Musk's brother Kimball Musk and James Murdoch, son of media mogul Rupert Murdoch, has been looking to add an independent director, the report said. Tesla and Musk did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests for comment. But, now that we're done with the actual report, Tesla did respond publicly to everyone not too long after. Tesla posted a message written by board chair Robin Denholm on their X account saying, quote, "Earlier today, there was a media report erroneously claiming that the Tesla board had contacted recruitment firms to initiate a CEO search at the company. This is absolutely false, parentheses, and this was communicated to the media before the report was published, end parentheses. The CEO of Tesla is Elon Musk, and the board is highly confident in his ability to continue executing on the exciting growth plan ahead. And then the tweet is signed Robin Denholm. So they want everybody to know that this came straight from the chairman of the board. And so we kind of have a he said, she said thing here. My guess is then it's one of two things. Either the board did reach out and sniffed around about a potential successor, and they did it without Elon knowing, but then he found out about it and wasn't happy about it, and now this public statement on their X account is the board trying to walk it back. Or Wall Street Journal sources misled them, or Wall Street Journal misinterpreted something, and this genuinely isn't true. Now, they claim to have multiple sources, so that's not a guarantee of anything, but it's not just one person that they relied on and wrote this thing up. So who knows where the truth really lies here? I will say, as a journalist myself, the Wall Street Journal is a pretty major publication. They're not some fly-by-night blog. And I'm not taking the Wall Street Journal's side in this. I'm not saying they're definitely right, but they do have a century-plus long history in journalism that I do think in general, again, on a general level, gives them some credibility. But Tesla, for their part, also does not very often at all come out and directly respond to a report about them in such a public way. So you've got pretty significant, like you could make the case, well, I mean, it's the truth is whatever it is, but you could believe potentially either side here. Now, if this is true, that the board did go looking around, start a little mini just browsing for a potential new CEO, then there are no doubt some of you out there that will not be pleased to hear that. And then there are others of you who might be happy to hear that. If there is any truth to it, then I wonder if, given the specific mention of the board wanting Elon to spend more time at Tesla, which I think is a sentiment that, however you feel about this story or about Elon, I think maybe most everybody can agree, shareholders in particular, that they want their CEO spending as much time at the company as possible. But this may be why Elon specifically said he would do just that in his opening remarks on the quarterly earnings call last week. But setting the he said, she said part of this aside, I did want to point out that there has been discussion of a successor before, initiated by Elon. That discussion was definitely involving him, and it was in fact initiated by him. I talked about it on the podcast at the time. This was probably a couple years ago, maybe even less, but at least a year, maybe two ago. And in that story, Elon said that he gave the board some names that he would be comfortable with if anything ever happened to him. I vividly remember this because I remember what I said here on the podcast in response was that for me, there is one. I'm not saying there aren't other good candidates, but in my mind, there is one clear-cut, head and shoulders above the rest choice that I would want as the next CEO of Tesla if Elon is not the CEO for any reason whatsoever. And that person is the aforementioned fellow Tesla co-founder, former Tesla chief technical officer, and current Tesla board member, J.B. Straubel. He would be my choice if Elon were ever not the CEO anymore for any reason. And certainly I don't think many of you would argue with me necessarily. I mean, it's JB knows the company inside and out. He built it alongside Elon. and he knows the products on a technical level, which I feel is very important for Tesla specifically, as opposed to just being a money guy, like a C-suite guy. JB knows the company top to bottom, back to front, and I still feel that, again, if the day ever came, he would be the best choice if Tesla needed a new CEO. But I will say this, after having the pleasure of meeting JB and interviewing him back on episode 501, the sense that I got from him is that he is very all in, very, very, very all in on battery recycling. And he sees it as a massive challenge, a massive problem for the world as part of the electrification, part of the sustainable energy transition that needs solving, and that he wants to do as much as he can to help solve it. And so my sense is, if for whatever reason the Tesla CEO job were offered to him, my sense is he would probably not take it because he's so focused on this big picture goal that he's working on over at Redwood Materials. But again, that's just my sense of it. I will tell you, I'll be explicitly clear here just to say, I did not ask JB about that possibility, either on the record or off. It is not a topic that I broached, but it's certainly, again, that's just my sense of it. I feel strongly that he'd be great, but I also got the sense from him after spending an hour or so with him that his heart is at Redwood, and he would not say yes to a Tesla situation. But I suppose we'll see what, if anything, comes of this. And based on Tesla's very strongly worded denial here, I think probably nothing will come of it. This feels like the end of it. But it was just such a big story this week that I did want to bring it up for you. Okay, let's talk about other EV news. There are two stories, one little one. I guess, you know what, I'll just do the little one first. And that is to say, welcome Kia EV owners to the Tesla Supercharger network. Drive Tesla Canada noted this week that Kia has been onboarded. To use the superchargers, Kia owners will need to enroll in the Kia Charge Pass program, which can be accessed through the Kia Access app. The app will now include Tesla superchargers in its search, locate and navigate options, and provide live data on charger availability, pricing, and status. For those Kia owners who have a CCS1 charging port on their vehicles, which I imagine is still all of them, they can get an NACS adapter through a local Kia dealership. Kia has already started to make the switch to NACS as their charging standard, with the 2025 EV6 and 2026 EV9 coming with an NACS port. Now, the other story, which also got a lot of attention this week, a new EV company has burst onto the scene with a very unique and fairly intriguing business plan. In fact, I had several listeners reach out to me asking me to cover this, asking me to talk about this week, which is super cool and honestly never happens. So I thought that was just neat that this people were interested enough in this to reach out and say, oh, Ryan, I hope you'll talk about this on the podcast this week. And well, fortunately, I'd already planned to, so here goes. The company is called Slate, which, as Ride the Lightning listener and generous Patreon backer Michael Mizrahi pointed out to me, I didn't see it. Michael told me Slate is an anagram for Tesla. So I'm not sure if that's on purpose on Slate's part, but it is pretty cool. I think my gut would say that it's probably called Slate as a reference to it being a blank slate, which will make more sense when I tell you about it in a second. But the Tesla anagram is certainly a fun bonus right there. So, Slate, blank slate. What do we mean by that? Well, the Slate pickup truck is a very basic, and I want to say in all caps, very basic EV pickup truck. It's small. It is 174.6 inches long. For comparison, my Model 3 is 185.8 inches long. And for a little bit more of an apples to apples comparison, just to compare it to another EV pickup truck, the Cybertruck is 223.7 inches long, meaning the Slate is about 4 feet shorter than the Cybertruck in length. The Slate doesn't have any paint, so it shares that in common with the Cybertruck, though it's got composite body panels, not unpainted stainless steel. But no paint, no radio, no speakers, no power windows. Side note, I literally cannot tell you the last time that I saw, with my own 2 eyes, a manual roll-down window that you have to crank in a circle. It's got to be over a decade since I last saw one. In fact, it's been long enough that some of you in the audience listening right now might be young enough. If you're in your 20s, it's possible you've never seen a manual roll-down window lever. But anyway, back to the Slate. It's got manually adjusted wing mirrors. It's got no infotainment screen, just has a little tiny screen in front of the driver, instrument cluster screen, to show you your speed and other basic information. It does, however, have power door locks, so it's got that going for it. But anyway, let's dig into the specs a little bit. And this, I want to give a shout out and a source here to Car and Driver, who had a great write-up on it that I'm referencing here. So the Slate truck is a 2-door, 2-seater, rear-wheel drive EV pickup truck with a 5-foot bed, and it's expected to cost about $27,500 for the base 47 kilowatt-hour battery pack version that's estimated to get you about 150 miles of range. You can upgrade to a 75 kilowatt-hour pack that should get you about 240 miles of range. The peak charging rate is 120 kilowatts, which is half of a V3 supercharger, or about the same as a V1 Tesla supercharger. The Slate truck will do 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds, or about as quick as my 1982 DeLorean did. It weighs just 3,600 pounds, and it can tow 1,000 pounds, and its payload capacity in the bed is 1,433 pounds. And Car and Driver says that Slate is aiming to get these trucks out late next year, late 2026, as a 2027 model. So here's where the blank slate part comes in. Car and Driver says that the brand claims more than 100 accessory items will be available when deliveries of the truck begin at the end of 2026, ranging from power windows, so you can option those, to a 2-inch lift and 1-inch lowering kit, to even an SUV kit, which adds a roof panel over the truck's stubby bed and a 3-across rear bench seat, plus a roll bar and airbags aft of the cab. Those looking for a truck with a bit more color, because the default unpainted composite body panel is gray, those looking for a truck with a bit more color can opt for a vinyl wrap from the accessories team. Stick with the standard 17-inch steel wheels, and the wrap options can also extend to wrapping the Steely's flat faces, so you can wrap the wheels too. Of course, the accessory team has 17 and 20-inch alloy wheels on hand for those less enthused by the standard wheels' plebeian looks. The company is looking to build the trucks at a re-industrialized factory in the Midwest, which I imagine translates to move into an existing but empty space, similar to what Tesla did with Toyota's vacant NUMMI plant here in Fremont, California, back in 2010, if I recall correctly. Car and Driver says Slate's history goes back to 2022, when it started as a project within Rebuild, a manufacturing conglomerate founded by Jeff Wilke, the former CEO of Amazon's worldwide consumer business, and Miles Arnone, co-founder of Cannon Capital and current Build CEO. In 2023, Slate secured more than $111 million in funding from 16 investors, one of which was reportedly Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Well, my take on the Slate truck is that I'm intrigued by it, honestly. It's not, for me, it's not something that I'm looking to get into, but they're trying to do this as literally simply as they possibly can, both to try and serve a market need, or at least what they feel is a market need, but also to minimize the risk as a startup and to try and shorten the path to profitability. If I'm being honest, and I don't say this, I'm not trying to say this in a mean way, but I can't imagine that this will ever be anything but a niche product. I mean, how many of these would there be demand for each year? I think that's just a fair question to ask. I mean, maybe if its safety rating is good, which certainly remains to be seen, maybe there'd be plenty of parents that would consider it as a good first car for their teenager. Now, for their part, I will say I was on the Slate website in the frequently asked questions section under safety, and Slate says, quote, "The Slate is designed to achieve a 5-star US NCAP crash rating," end quote. Now, as for more experienced drivers who might be interested in this, you're obviously not road tripping with it, even with the larger battery pack. But for just zipping around town and occasionally helping your friends move with that pickup bed or making a big Costco run, it does, by the way, have a 7 cubic foot trunk in the, frunk up there, which I had to look it up just for context. 7 cubic feet up front in the Slate is more than double the frunk storage that I have in my Model 3, which has a 3.1 cubic foot frunk. And I think that the Slate could be really appealing to people who, again, are just looking for something to zip around town with, make that occasional Costco run, maybe help the occasional friend move. It's going to be $20,000 after the tax credit. And as we've seen with the Cybertruck, where every single one leaves the factory unpainted, it'll be fun if and when this hits the market, because a lot of people have had a really fun time customizing Cybertrucks with wraps, which Slate is totally leaning into as well. But this is a market that not only is Tesla not serving right now, but no one else is either. There is no EV pickup at this size and or at this price point. That said, I think it's very fair to be incredibly skeptical of any startup car company. And I say that because there is a reason that Tesla was the first successful one in many decades. And that is just the automotive industry is incredibly hard to break into. Arguably, maybe outside of aerospace, the hardest industry to break into in the entire world is building cars. I mean, the capital requirements to even get a product to market are just massive. And turning a profit's a whole other matter. But just if I back up, even getting to market is a very rare feat. Tucker got there in the 40s, I think. Maybe it was 50s, but I think 40s. Tucker got there but failed. Malcolm Bricklin got there but failed. John DeLorean got there but failed in the end. So I'm rooting for Slate, don't get me wrong, but the road will be a very bumpy one, no doubt. If you're curious, reservations, if you want to put your name in, get a place in line for a Slate, reservations are $50, and that is a refundable $50, and their website is slate.auto, A-U-T-O, slate.auto, if you want to check it out. And I thought I would make this the subject of this week's Patreon poll, because it's not often, I've only been covering non-Tesla EVs here for the last, 9 now episodes or so. So this week's Patreon poll was, how interested are you in the newly announced Slate EV pickup truck? I want to thank the almost 300 people who kindly stopped by to vote. And as a reminder, the Patreon poll is open to the public. You do not have to be supporting me, backing me, anything on Patreon. Just stop on by, usually every Tuesday night. that is when the poll goes up at patreon.com/Tesla podcast, and just cast your vote. Now, maybe not a surprise here because everybody listening to this is a Tesla owner and at the very least Tesla enthusiast. So 54% of you voted no, I'm not interested in the Slate truck. But I have to say, I'm encouraged that the other 46% who split their vote between the other three categories, I'll read you in a second, 46% of you ultimately are at least somewhat curious about it. So 17% of you voted maybe you're interested, but I'll wait to see how the quality and driving experience turn out. Totally fair. 15% of you said, are you interested? Yes. A simple EV truck for $20,000 out the door would be super appealing to me. And then right there as well, 14% of you voted maybe, but I'm skeptical, that they'll get the truck to market. So all good stuff there. Thank you all for taking the time to vote in this week's Patreon poll. Thanks to those of you as well that left comments. There was some good discussion in the comments section on this one as well. That is it for the very busy week of Tesla and EV news. But stick with me. I'll be right back with some of your Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls coming up right after this.
This is Bill Daniels, the voice of Light Industries 2000, or KIT. You're listening to Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast. Happy electric motoring.
Welcome to the Ride the Lightning hotline, where you have a chance to be featured on the podcast. Call in anytime using one of two easy call-in methods that I'll tell you about in a second, and I may play your call on an upcoming episode. So the two easy ways you can call in are, one, use your voice recording software on your smartphone and just record the question. Please try to keep it to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many callers each week as possible. Then email that file to me at my Tesla Podcast email address, which is simply teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less question and call in anytime and leave a message on the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's a toll-free number, and you call 1-888-989-8752. Again, that's 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up this week is Bruce in Florida.
Hey, Ryan, this is Bruce in Florida. I was just listening to the podcast and you were discussing the $2,000 credit being offered to some Model Y owners. I bought a Model Y in 2020, and then in 2023, I traded it in for another Model Y, and I did receive that email with the $2,000 credit offer. I don't know what you can read from that, but I no longer own one of the earlier Model Ys, and yet I still did get the offer. I don't know if that was by design or just I was in Tesla's database as having one at one time, but I just thought I'd share that for what it's worth. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Bruce. I mean, maybe instead of looking at current owners of early Model Y for that $2,000 off mailing that they did, they simply looked at who bought them originally and sent that email out to those folks regardless of whether or not they still currently own that early Model Y, or maybe even if they still own a Tesla at all, for that matter. Of course, Tesla sending that email would likely be contingent on that person having opted into receiving marketing emails from Tesla. But anyway, it is a good data point, and I hope that some folks out there were able to take advantage of that $2,000 off a new Model Y. And Bruce, I hope your 2023 Model Y is still treating you well. Thank you so much for your call. I do appreciate it. I've just got time for one more call this week. It comes from Jay in Chicago with a little bit of an FSD-related quandary.
Hey, Ryan, this is Jay from Chicago. I had a question I wanted to run by you or the community. So like you, I have a 2018 long-range Model 3. I got it in October of 2018. And now I'm in the market, like I'm ready to upgrade. This car has been great to me, but I'm ready for something bigger, preferably a Model Y or a Cybertruck. And I've done overnight test rides of both Cybertruck and Model Y, and I think they're both awesome. They're both great. And I think I'm trying to take advantage of the FSD transfer. So here's the thing. I don't have FSD on my car yet, but I did pay for enhanced autopilot at the time, which I believe was $5,000. And now I can upgrade to FSD for another $2,000 within my app. So for a total of $7,000, I have FSD, but I guess I'd lose the enhanced autopilot. So my question is, what happens to my car? Do they take it in service and they upgrade the computer? Does the sensors, the proximity sensors, do they get disabled? Because I know FSD is like vision only now. So I'm curious what happens to my 2018 Model 3, because I do love it. But I think if I upgrade to FSD and I can upgrade it with this car, I can save $1,000 and then transfer it to either my new Model Y or a new Cybertruck, whatever I decide to do. Let me know. Thank you. Bye.
Jay, you ask a great question here. So it sounds like, if I'm interpreting you correctly, you've still got hardware 2.5, the board that originally came in your 2018 Model 3 as it came originally in my 2018 Model 3, which is the only thing that really complicates this because, as you noted, upgrading to FSD necessitates an upgrade to hardware 3. Now, my hope would be that you could do the upgrade, then service gets you scheduled in quickly, get it done, you can order your new car, take advantage of the FSD transfer. However, you obviously don't care about the actual hardware 3 computer in the car that you're trading in, and Tesla might not care either, or might not want to spend the service resources to do it if they're just going to sell your car as is on the trade-in. So it would seem like that it would be mutually beneficial for you to just do the upgrade in your app to FSD, but then trade in the car without actually getting the hardware 3 computer. I don't know if Tesla would do it that way, though. I don't know. There's probably policy or procedure on that. So what I would suggest is going into your nearest Tesla store, and since you said you're in Chicago, it means you've got a few of them around, and I would talk to somebody in sales there directly and just explain it. If they've probably run into this before, I mean, you can't be the only 2018 Model 3 owner that wants to do this. So if anybody else out there listening to this has done this, has been through it, and has some words of wisdom to share with Jay, I invite you to either email me so then I can contact Jay, or call in and I can play it then to help Jay and anybody else that might find themselves in this same position. All right. As I mentioned, that's all the time I've got for calls this week, just a couple of them. I will get to more of your Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls next week, but keep those calls coming. I gave you the call-in instructions and call-in number at the top of the segment just a little while ago. I'm not quite done with this podcast, though. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about what's going on with me, my car, and my household here before I get your Tesla Pro Tip of the Week. I am off to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this weekend. That's why I'm recording the podcast early. Every year for the last number of years, other than the 2020 COVID year, my uncles and I, which included my cousin Pat before, of course, he passed away a couple years ago, we would pick we're all big baseball fans, and we do our annual baseball trip where we pick a weekend and we pick a city we want to go to a ballpark and see a ballpark that we've not been to before. And it's just been a really awesome, really great tradition for us. We get some time to spend with each other and just catch up, just talk baseball, talk life. And I really enjoy it. It's really meant a lot to me. And it's our chance. We remember Pat every time, of course, too, over these last couple of years. And this year we're going to Pittsburgh to PNC Park, which is, I'll tell you, I've had the privilege of being at Wrigley and at Fenway and those are amazing. But of the newer ballparks, I've been to Camden Yards. We did Baltimore on our 2019 trip. But PNC Park is supposedly just one of the absolute gems of the newer ballparks. So I'm really looking forward to visiting Pittsburgh and checking out the city a little bit and checking out the ballpark. It's supposed to rain all weekend, but it is what it is. At least the temperatures don't look too bad. They're in the 50s and 60s, so can't complain too much. But anyway, that's where I'll be this weekend. So shout out to any of my listeners who are listening from Pittsburgh or the Pittsburgh area. But even more fun than baseball is some family news that I wanted to share with you, specifically with regard to the four-legged members of our family. We are continuing to be Canine Companions volunteers, with Mina, of course, and Zelina before her, who graduated and is a service dog now. Mina will hopefully follow suit. And we plan to continue as Canine Companions volunteers, but I have been planning for the last year to surprise my wife with a yellow Labrador puppy, for a forever puppy of her very own. She loves labs, and that's part of the reason why she's really gotten into this Canine Companions program with me. But of course, we have to give them up, right? Because they are called to a greater purpose, to go hopefully be of service to somebody that needs them, as Zelina is doing now, and mine again will hopefully do as well. And so this week, I surprised my wife with a new puppy. We have named her Lily. There are pictures of her on both my X account and my Instagram, if you'd like to take a look. She is absolutely a stunning, gorgeous little puppy. She's been amazing so far. And there's a quick funny story with this. I'll just make it super quick. I figured the surprise would happen quickly, right? The dog would arrive, and I'd have to then figure out how to surprise my wife. Do I take her to the airport, blindfold her, and say, like, somebody special is flying in to see you, or do I just go get the dog myself and then come home with the dog? And it turned out my wife, the night that the puppy arrived, that Lily arrived, because she came in on an evening flight from across the country. My wife had left that same morning on an open-ended ticket, no return date, to be with her mom, who had I wouldn't call it, maybe I would call it major heart. She's okay. She had heart surgery. She's doing okay. She's recovering. But both my wife and her brother went out. They both went on open-ended tickets just to be there with her, which is awesome that they were able to do that. And so this puppy arrived, and my daughter and I had to keep her a secret. So when my wife would call us, I would say, the plan was, I would tell my daughter, if mom calls you, run downstairs to the garage so that if the puppy barks, it won't come through over the phone. And I would do the same. If my wife called me, I would run downstairs. And we kept the secret, and my wife got home, and she was very surprised, and it's been awesome. She's been beaming, and the puppy's been great. She is actually she's snoozing right now, as it's 9:16 p.m. As I'm recording this part of the podcast. She's been awesome. She's the potty training. She is doing great in that department. We've been averaging like one accident a day. Some days are perfect. Some days get a couple accidents, but she's been doing awesome. She's sweet as can be. Her temperament's great. So Lily, and we had a family meeting about the name, because I said, well, my wife's got the final call. It's, this dog is for her. So we all collectively, the three of us, my wife, daughter, and I, we wrote down some names that we all liked, and we've landed on Lily, which we just like in a vacuum, but also it's a nice like flower companion name to Daisy, right? So we've got Daisy, we've got Lily, and Mina is with our friends who are co-raising her with us. They were gracious enough to give us some settle-in time with the puppy, but Mina will return, and until she gets turned in for her professional training in November. So big canine news in the McCaffrey household this week. The secret is that, again, with the puppy, with Lily having been here the last 2 weeks, I've recorded the last 2 episodes of this podcast before this one with Lily here, and she thankfully has not made a ruckus. But I couldn't risk, like, my wife doesn't listen to the podcast. I mean, she does like right now she's listening to it involuntarily because I'm just broadcasting through the house, basically. But I just couldn't risk any word getting out, even though the odds were small that she would actually, like, listen to the podcast, especially while she's going to care for her mom. But had to just keep it quiet. But now I can let the cat, I guess I can let the dog out of the bag, if you will. Not a literal bag, figurative bag, metaphorical bag. But she's here and she's been awesome. How about a pro tip of the week? Let's get back to Tesla talk if you're sick of dog things. Let's hear from Barry in Orange County, California, with a pro tip.
Hey Ryan, it's Barry from Orange County with a Tesla pro tip for you. I presume most Tesla drivers turn on the walk-away door lock and close windows on lock settings, since it's very handy to be able to exit your car and not have to do anything. But once in a while, you might have a situation where you want to leave your windows open, whether it's all the way down or at a partial level. Maybe you have moisture in the car from rain off of your shoes, maybe you just transported food, or you have smells, or maybe you're going to leave your dog in the car for 2 minutes while you run to the ATM or something. Anyway, the way you can leave your windows down, even after you've walked away, is to set the windows at the level you want them to be, and then open the door, then press the lock icon at the top of your main screen, and when you close your door, the car will lock and the windows will stay in that position. And if you ever need to close it later, you can do so through the app. But that is one way to allow you to keep your windows open even after you've left the car.
Barry, thank you very much. I did not know this one, and I can absolutely see it coming in handy. Your examples are all good. Just don't forget, by the way, that dog mode is there to keep our four-legged friends comfy if you have to run into the ATM. But anyway, this is a super useful pro tip. Thank you again. And I invite anybody out there that's got a good Tesla pro tip of the week to give me a call and share it with me and your fellow Tesla owners and enthusiasts. And the way to do that is to simply call in, just as you would with any other Ride the Lightning hotline call. I gave you the 2 easy call-in methods for that a little while ago. I want to start the plugs this week with SnapPlate because I got an email from them this week that says their SnapPlate and the SnapPlate Plus, they say it is in progress for the refreshed Model Y, the Juniper. They say they're targeting mid-May to start shipping orders, which is right around the corner. They say it's an all-new design to avoid the bumper camera, and they say, we think you're going to like it. So if you've got a new Model Y, I highly encourage you, if you either want or legally need to have a front license plate on your Juniper Model Y, don't use the license plate mounting bracket that Tesla gives you, because it sticks to the front of your beautiful new car, and if you ever want to take it off, you're going to have tape residue, you might be pulling paint off, who knows. Grab yourself a snap plate from everyamp.com/RTL. That is the website to go to, and better yet, I've got a discount code for you, a coupon code. Just plug this in, RTL. It's that simple, and you'll get a nice discount off of that as well. The Snap Plate and Snap Plate Plus available for all the Teslas. It's the front license plate bracket that is a nice, clean, minimalist design, blends beautifully with the Tesla front end, doesn't get in the way of anything up there, including the front bumper camera on the Juniper. And if you want to take it off for whatever reason, it leaves no unsightly hardware behind. So again, get yours at everyamp.com/RTL or click the link in the episode description. Meanwhile, abstractocean.com, they've got a million great aftermarket accessories, including plenty of stuff for that new Model Y as well. So I encourage you to head on over there, click on whichever Tesla or Rivian that you have, and it'll show you all of the accessories available for your car. The 4th generation tempered glass screen protectors, that's an awesome one. It's made with Gorilla Glass. Just really great list of accessories. Too many to list here. So check them out, abstractocean.com. Pile everything you like into your online shopping cart. And when you get to checkout, use the coupon code RTLPodcast to get 15% off of your first order. That coupon code again, RTLPodcast, all one word, no spaces. Immaculate Reflections, if you are in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area with your Tesla or another car that you love, I encourage you to reach out ahead of time to Immaculate Reflections. Let them know what you might want to do. Maybe it's paint protection film on the front of the car or all the car or the kind of key areas, rocker panels, rear end, front end, whatever you want to do. Maybe you want to do paint correction to get your paint finish looking as good as it possibly can. Get all those little scratches and swirls out of it. Maybe you want ceramic coating because that's a lot more convenient than waxing the car twice a year to keep the paint finish protected. Whatever you're looking for, Immaculate Reflections will take great care of your car. Go to the website, irdetailing.com, and you can get in contact through there. And when you do, mention that you're a Ride the Lightning listener, and there will be a Ride the Lightning listener discount waiting for you. You can also check them out on Instagram at immaculate_reflections. The Yelp page, if you're curious, is yelp.com/Immaculate Reflections. I mentioned this earlier, but I'll mention it real quick here. The Patreon, if you would like to support the podcast, if you have been listening for a while, you appreciate what I'm up to here, I would really be grateful if you'd consider a pledge on Patreon. The pledges start at just $5 a month. And for $5 a month, you will get early access to each week's episode, which again, in this episode's case would be extra early. And that early access will be of an ad-free version of the episode. All the tiers get those two perks because the perks stack as you go. So the $10 tier is the most popular. That gets you the early access, the ad-free, and those 140-something lightning round mini episodes. And the tiers keep on going from there. Again, the perks all stacking. So I would be, again, super grateful if you'd consider a pledge. If you've been listening for a while, you enjoy the podcast, you appreciate what I'm doing here. That would super help me and my family. Patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. You can follow this podcast totally for free on any of the major podcast services. Just search Ride the Lightning Tesla. That should pull it up really quickly. And when you click follow, what that'll do is every time there's a new episode, which with this podcast is every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, you'll get a push notification that says new episode available. Just tap that notification and it'll take you straight to listening to that new episode. What else this week? You can email me anytime, teslapodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on X and or on Instagram. My username on both is the same, and that username is DMC_Ryan. And before I go, I want to first give a shout out to a loyal listener, longtime listener, Brian Schneigert from Illinois, who I met at the We Robot event. Happy birthday, Brian. He turned the big 33, the Larry Bird year. That just aged me quite a lot right there. You can tell I'm 44, and Brian's only... It's like Larry Bird, that old basketball player. 33, happy birthday, Brian. Hope you're having a wonderful birthday weekend as you hear this. I also want to give a shout out to the top-tier Patreon backers, starting with the Roadster in Space tier. They are Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, who I had a great one-on-one chat with this week. That's the Roadster in Space tier. The extra bonus they get for that most generous tier is a one-on-one hangout with me each month if they elect to choose it. Lawton always does, and we always have a wonderful time talking. Thank you, Lawton. Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, who I also chatted with recently, and it's always fun to talk to her too. Kara Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, and Tony Figueroa. Next up, the Maximum Plaid backers. Oh, I should note, too, the monthly Zoom Hangout, the Patreon Hangout, which is for the Maximum Plaid and up every month. That will be happening the second weekend of May. We're going to be looking at May 10th for that one, because, again, I'm in Pittsburgh on my uncle's baseball trip here for this first weekend of May. So I'll send out the invites for that early in this week. But I'm looking forward to chatting with the Maximum Plaid crew. So all these folks are invited. I hope to see a lot of them there. Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Adam Christie, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Clayton Goodfellow, Michael Mizrahi, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, and Kim Bay. Finally, the grandfathered-in Plaid level supporters. Thank you so much for your continued support. George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. Well, that'll wrap it up for episode 509 of Ride the Lightning. I've got to get packed up and ready for my flight in the morning. I am looking forward to any of you out there in Pittsburgh. I've never been to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've been to Pennsylvania as a kid. We had some friends there when I lived in New Jersey, and then I've been to Philadelphia more recently, although not that recently. But Pittsburgh I've never been to, so looking forward to checking it out. Can't wait to see PNC Park. Sadly, Paul Skeens is not scheduled to pitch in either of the couple games that we're going to, which, you got basically a 40% chance going to two games, and sadly no luck this time. But baseball's baseball, and it's out, just sitting outside with family, and that's a good time. I'm looking forward to it. So, for a snoozing Daisy the Boxer, and also snoozing Lily the Labrador. Hey, I like the sound of that. Silly Lily has been thrown around as well, as she does puppy things, but Lily the Labrador, I like that. That's good. All right, for Daisy, for Lily, and for me, Ryan McCaffrey, this was Ride the Lightning, your weekly Tesla and EV podcast. This was episode 509. Happy electric motoring, my friends, and I'll see you back here next week.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.